all in readiness for kickoff. And pardon me if you hear a bit of silence at times. I've got a bit of a runny nose there, Brenton, that's how soft I am. We've got a very special guest commentator joining us. We'll let her get settled in as we wait for kickoff. Casey Badger, NRL referee extraordinaire, touchy as well. Is there anything you can't do, Case? Welcome to the commentary team.
We'll find out soon if I can commentate.
I have no doubt. No,
it's great to be here. I love coming to these sorts of events, and it's actually my first time at a Murray Carnival. Been to plenty of the Koori knockouts.
Okay.
But it's great to be up here this year for this event.
Well, what's your role? What are you doing here?
Bit of a hanger-on here, actually.
At least she's honest, Brenton.
I was happy just to come out and have a bit of a look around. I generally like to just watch the football, but watch a bit of the referees and have a bit of a word to them where I can. My husband Gavin's an ambassador for Deadly Choices, so he's out here doing a bit of stuff with them. So I thought I'd come along for a couple of days and help out.
We just heard from Gavin. Case he was just in the interview area with Bo, and so we heard from him. The badge.
Was it riveting?
It was good. And how do they let you New South Welshmen over here into the border, into Queensland?
Well, I'm pretty lucky that being a full-time NRL referee, we came up a few months back in the bubble with the rest of the NRL. And when my duties there finished, we were just allowed to stay, just like anyone else in Queensland now. So Badge and I thought would stay up for maybe a month longer because there's no real point going home at the moment.
No, you can't move around at home at all. And here, look at this. We're at a carnival. We've got people around us. We've got some great rugby league action.
It's beautiful. Couldn't ask for much more.
And the weather's great. Hopefully you weren't here yesterday or the day before when it was freezing
2 days
cold,
ago,
Arctic
I was.
winds. Yes.
I was. I may not have stayed the whole day on Tuesday. I got way too cold. But this is much nicer today.
Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, and we'll hold up some scorecards about your expertise commentary. No, we're not like that. And here's a great run straight through the middle, and that'll be the first try of the match. 18, Tanya Gillen.
It's great to see how women's rugby league's going, how it's progressed over the last sort of 5 to 10 years.
It certainly has come leaps and bounds, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Brenton, look at that. Step, speed. You can't teach that, can you?
No, you can't coach speed, and she's got plenty of that. And even jog to the try line.
And look, we must point out that the East Coast Sharks are short on numbers, and it's good that they even have come to play because they just cannot get a full team. But they've said, look, we're not going to let down our opponents. We're going to come out and give it plenty of heart and give them a run. We've seen that throughout the carnival during the juniors. As the carnival progresses too, bumps and bruises take their toll. And players have to back up. And I reckon, Casey, you would have found it hard as a referee to back up day after day in a carnival situation like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I came from an association in New South Wales from the Parramatta area, and we had football Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and we would often go on a Saturday refereeing anywhere between 6 to 10 games on a Saturday, and that's from backing up from doing 2 or 3 on a Friday night into another 2 or 3 on the Sunday. So after a couple of years of doing that, your body either breaks down or gets used to it. But it's these sorts of carnivals that can be tough for referees. You have a game, then you might sit down for a bit, just like players, and then come back on the field and be expected to be at top performance.
Absolutely, and the try scorer Tanya Gillen gets the conversion. 6-0 it is. And speaking of the NRL, let's be a little self-indulgent. You said your participation in the NRL is over at this point, but we've still got 2 very important matches coming up on Friday and Saturday. And then a grand final, and of course as Queenslanders we're crowing. It's a historic occasion for us. We've got the prelim finals at Suncorp Stadium and then a grand final for the first time ever of the NRL.
It's exciting.
Brisbane. Oh, it is exciting.
Oh, it's great for people to be able to experience that level of the game.
Yep.
Same as last weekend in Mackay, having elite semi-finals being played in the region. It's not often people can say that that's happened in their hometown.
And pushing the ball through the centre, the Sunshine Coast Bunyas. They know they've got to do the simple things right, and I'd say the coach would want this as a hit out for them, even if it is against a team that's not quite got the numbers. They want to do things right as they progress further into the carnival. Clearly great pass out there, and breaks the tackle, and away they go. That's the second try.
I think when you're down on numbers in defence, I think that's what you want, is to force the other team to have to score tries around you rather than going through you.
That was the 3.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Like, especially in the outside backs, as a team, you want the pace to go around you, not through you, and that's exactly what they did there.
Early stages of the senior carnival, and at times we have a few difficulties with the numbers and the jerseys, because they're handed out a kit, and sometimes the numbers don't correspond to the size of the athlete.
Saw that yesterday in the 16s possibles-probables game.
Yes.
There's a few random jerseys out on the field for some of the big fellas.
Conversion unsuccessful. $10-0 it is here. Sunshine Coast Bunyas, with a full complement of players, are in control. And yes, it makes it very difficult in defence, because you're hard to number up, and just when you think you've got somebody, they throw a long pass or a cutout, little short ball to a flyer, and very hard to recover from that. You can see they've got 11 players, the Sharks. Kick off, fielded again by the team in the maroon. And always, Casey, you would have seen this over the last few days. The support has been fantastic, of all the people who've turned up, come to watch their mob play, and they've been encouraging all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best thing about these sorts of events, is just the community atmosphere. It's one of the biggest congregations of Indigenous people for any events during the country, and just to see the positivity and the support for each mob is really heartening.
Second try for this young girl. She's got all the attributes. She's got speed, a step, and a fend, and she uses
athletic.
all of them. Yeah.
Very athletic, isn't she?
Tall.
I think NRLW scouts would do well to come out here for a couple of days and have a look at a few of these girls.
Yeah, a few of the up and comings.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we've seen Tamika Upton pop in every now and then, and sure, she's got one eye there as a player and one eye as a possible
recruiter.
Yeah.
Trying to get some teammates on board.
Well, they've got a double season next year, because their season was postponed this year, and they get 2 bites at it next year.
Yeah, which was an absolute shame, but there were a lot of factors at play there. It's a big calendar of rugby league for the women next year.
Conversion successful. Stretches it out to 16-0.
I think they'll go NRLW season into their Wholesome Cup and Harvey Norman Women's Premiership, into Origin, into NRLW again, into a World Cup.
Does that make it a big season for the referees as well, and touchies?
Yeah. Well, anytime football's on,
yep,
referees are on as well. So our pre-season will be slightly changed next year. We usually go back around the sort of second week of November, and train through to the start of the competition. But I'm sure our training sessions will change a bit to make sure we're ready and in peak condition for the NRLW to start in January, I think it is.
As we wait for the kick-off, don't forget to download the app, QMC 2020 from the App Store. You can watch on murrayrugbyleague.net. You can go to the other games. If this one's not to your liking, or you don't like my commentary, or Casey's expert commentary, or Brenton's expert commentary, and you like the sounds of silence, just a crowd yelling in the background, go to the other matches. They're all on live, so you can support your mob. On a serious note, as we watch the team from the Sunshine Coast charging up the centre.
We've got a head clash
for another try. Yeah, bit of an injury. They can ill afford injuries. Oh, what a lovely little step. And away she goes. I don't think they'll catch her. Make an attempt, a valiant attempt, but that's a great effort and another try. Aaliyah Peckham. I was going to ask you, talk us through how a referee prepares for a game. We've got lots of players here and they all prepare differently. How does a referee get ready for particularly, say, a big game?
Well, at a lower level, at a district level or a carnival level like this, it can be quite difficult because you're rolling from one game into the next. So you need to be, it's more preparation the day before to make sure that you're well hydrated, you've got your bag packed with enough food and drinks for the day.
Are you a person who likes to listen to music in between games? Say you got one game on, one game off, or how do you unwind?
I'm trying to remember what I did back at this sort of level. I probably had a bit of a chat to people, and I probably watched watched a lot of games. I'm just a big rugby league fan, but there are plenty of people who like to do that. Who like to put the headphones on, just chill out. There are a few of the guys in our squad who can fall asleep within about 2 minutes, which I wish I was able to do that. They fall asleep in between some of our training sessions and get a bit of relaxation in. At the NRL level, we get to the games anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours beforehand. Foam rolling, bit of mobility, bit of stretching. We've always got a physio at every game as well, so get a bit of a massage and stuff like that onto the field for a warm up. But everyone on game day sort of has a bit of a different prep. Some people like it to sleep in. Some people like to get up and have a swim. It's all very different. I'm pretty relaxed. Pretty cruisy. My day's usually based around what I eat and when I eat.
That's not bad. My whole life's based around food.
Me too.
We'll bring Brenton into this discussion as well. Are you superstitious? Like, lots of players are superstitious. You want to wear the same set of boots or, whatever it might be, same set of shorts and wear them till forever. Oh, that's a male trait. We'll wear things till they've got holes and you can see through them. But conversion successful.
I suppose with myself, I just with the footy boots. Like I always used to put my left foot footy boots on first, and then the right.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
What about it from a ref or a touchy? Nothing?
For myself,
no
superstitions whatsoever, but there are plenty in the squad who do.
Well, spill the beans on Gavin. Did he have any superstitions?
Thankfully, Gavin, I think that's why we get on so well, is we're both pretty similar. For me, I always believe that if I had things that had to be done at a certain way or a certain time, that if something went wrong during the day, a spanner was thrown into the works, then I wouldn't want that to then affect my performance. So I always had the mindset of do whatever on the day, because I still need to be able to perform. And like I said, I just like to make sure that I've had enough to eat, or I'm not too full or not too hungry when it comes to kick-off time. But apart from that, I can pretty much do anything during the day.
What do you do? And we've seen, when players have a mistake or a howler and they drop their heads and their teammates try and come over and pump them up a bit and, consolidate them. What happens to a ref or a touchy when you go, you look up at the big screen, you go, that wasn't out, or that wasn't...
No one runs over and pats us on the head or on the back to say...
and jeers from the crowd.
Say it's all right. No. So there's a couple of different techniques. There's a common one in refereeing that we call black boxing. So you think of like the black box in a aeroplane that records everything. You just put it in that box and it's closed off. We don't need to revisit it now until the end of the game or in review.
Right.
Because the only thing worse than making one wrong decision is compounding it and making a second wrong decision. So we talk about moving on and making your getting back into the game and making your next decision as quickly as possible. And that next decision might be something as simple as just calling this ruck now.
Yep.
So calling whoever it is,
Yep.
number 17, to get
Yep.
up and then hold, go.
Yep.
All right, that's my next decision made.
Righto.
The 10 metres is gone. The play the ball's happened. Bang, we've now
Let's go. Yep.
moved on.
Well, let's see if we can get a try here from the East Coast Sharks. They're deep on attack. Slow to get to their feet, but they've got a perfect position to get points on the board. And here they might do it here.
Got it.
Can she twist in the tackle?
Is she held
Referee
up?
says held up.
Good position.
Susie Stephen, great charge. That'll give them some heart.
Yeah, it's good just to see them down in that territory.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this is the first time they had this chance
Yep.
down here, so hopefully they can convert this into points.
Yeah, let's see what they can do with the ball in attack.
Certainly a warning sign for the Bunyas. Come up in defence, keep that straight line. Here they go again. Looking to open their account here in this senior game. Another injury,
Another
unfortunately. And again, Casey, player welfare has been paramount throughout this carnival as our medics come onto the field.
Yeah, we have some great medical staff that always sort of first to the players, try and get them get them back up or
Yep.
take them off the field and reassess there.
And that's the challenge in carnivals like this, that it's not just the single hits, the single injuries, whether it's a head clash or a twisted ankle. It's the repeated hits throughout, and an injury in this game which was compounded from an injury in the game before. So I'm sure it presents a challenge to the medics here.
They've done a great job. We've got a medical facility in the clubhouse. We've got trainers and strappers been, patching up players and keeping them as fit as they can.
Yeah.
Let's hope they don't lose another player here.
Yeah. Terrible
Doesn't
news
look
for
well.
them. And Casey, what's the plans as far as career are? Are you keen to continue and continue on a learning curve to regular matches and things like that?
Absolutely. It's refereeing is a very long apprenticeship from the day you start refereeing until you make it to the NRL. Many times it can take around 15 years for that to happen. So once you get to that elite level, I'll be holding on with everything I've got. They have to drag me away kicking and screaming. It's a very privileged position to be in. It's highly, as much pressure that comes with refereeing, it's also very enjoyable to be out there in the middle of the field in a game that you love, and to be able to show up every week and muck around with your mates and at training and stuff like that.
Excellent. Well, the Sharks on the attack. Looking for their first points of the afternoon, or morning session it is. They go wide. Some good one-on-one tackles there.
Balls come out.
Referee says play it, you are effectively held. They go dart down the blind side.
No, right.
This didn't number up, did they?
No.
Sure, they wouldn't be happy with that when they've got the extra players on the field.
Let's have a look. This is the dart from dummy half.
It's not prepared.
Away she goes. Great try.
That's good. Hopefully it's good for their confidence to get a try on the board.
I think that's Briley Reid, captain. I went out there and watched these guys warm up, and she was outstanding. She had all the skills, so I'm not surprised that she had a little dart and in she went.
Yeah, so I think that should give them a little confidence boost.
Yeah.
And like we've always talked about, especially in these last sort of few days, the efforts of the players.
Yeah.
They've always got effort, and obviously with the East Coast Sharks, they're down on numbers, but the effort's always there.
Tough conversion attempt. But yep, they're on the board, and that's a good sign.
I'm sure they're tired from a lot of the defending that they've done, but they've had some good hit-ups. If they could get a couple of quick play the balls off those hit-ups, and that'd probably get them on the back foot. But it must be difficult in these conditions.
Yeah.
Waiting for the kick-off. Let's get into the referee psyche a bit more while we've got you here, Casey. And do referees have get square penalties or decisions, you know, where you might have made a little mistake and you think, oh, it's a 50-50, I'll give it to the other team?
It's a very, very common misconception that that we do that. As I spoke about before, the only thing that's worse than making one wrong decision is to make two wrong decisions.
Yep.
And to keep compounding that. So once we know or feel like we may have made a wrong decision, I don't want to be getting another one wrong. It's also, things happen so quickly when you're refereeing. You make so many decisions, even when it looks like at the moment, it might look like the referee's not making a decision, but you actually are there. You're looking at, are the markers square? Is everyone on side? Was the put down in the play the ball clean?
Charge.
You know, did they heel it backwards? So you're actually making so many decisions on the run. So to try and weigh things up, like something happened, say the ball was dropped right now, whether it was a knock-on, knock-back or a strip, to try and weigh that up, one, what the decision is, and two, oh geez, which way would this square up go? It happens too quick for you to actually consider all of that. So no.
What do you reckon from a player point of view, Brenton? Is it true?
No.
Or false?
I think it's true, but then
perception is reality sometimes. Let's just leave it at that.
We speak about that a lot in refereeing. Perception is reality.
yeah, because a lot of times when one team make a mistake and then the other team make mistakes, oh, that's a justice call. That ball should have went past the play before, but it's like justice play.
Wouldn't be like a player to let the referee know, would it? No. Whisper in the ear.
No, especially those cheeky halfbacks.
Casey, with the Bunyas on the attack, again, we thank you for joining us in commentary and giving us a referee's perspective as they charge towards the line. That'll be a high shot and a penalty, unlucky. I was going to ask, from a refereeing point of view, these days we have touch judges, at the NRL level. You've got the bunker, the much maligned bunker at times. You must trust your fellow officiators.
Yep, absolutely. Especially at the NRL level, we have absolute trust in each other on and off the field. Over again. Yep. Because if we didn't, none of us would be able to do our jobs. We'll just have a look at this again.
One off, goes to Harrison, I think it is. Little dummy. Yep, takes on the line and
reaches over.
Yep.
We're all very very familiar with our own roles and responsibilities. So there's certain things within the game that the referee will be looking at versus what the touch judge on the close side to the ruck's looking at versus the touch judge on the far side. And if we don't all look at and be in control of our own areas of roles and responsibilities, something will be let down. So if I know my job at this particular stage is to look at this certain thing, I can't concern myself with looking at the thing that the other touch judge or the referee is meant to be looking at, because then no one will be looking at what I'm meant to be looking at. So we need absolute trust in each other, and which calls would come from certain officials based on field position, where the ball is, and that sort of thing.
We watch the conversion attempt from behind, hits the uprights, unsuccessful, and that'll give us a half-time scoreline of the Sunshine Coast Bunyas 26, the East Coast Sharks 4.
With the help of Containers for Change, the PNC's been able to provide a whole range of things for the children. It's made a big difference to our school.
We attend Tarangi State School.
And we're change makers!
Here at our refund point, mums and dads come in with their children, and I get a thrill seeing little kids come in and they're saying, hey, I've got some cans here and I'm saving up for a bicycle or something like that. My name is Andrew Beckett and I'm a change maker.
just can't afford new jerseys this year.
Oh, this is amazing. Number 5.
Hi, I'm Paddy Carrigan from the Brisbane Broncos.
Hi, I'm Xavier from the Brisbane Broncos. Hey, my name is Katania Stokes from the Brisbane Broncos, and my deadly choice is being active and drinking a lot of water.
Checking in on mum and dad.
2 pieces of fruit and 5 veggies a day.
What's yours?
We all know smoking's bad for you, and the smokers are at high risk of getting seriously ill. So make a deadly choice and give it the smokes today.
QUT aspires to be a university of its place, embedded in country and curated by and for its community. To implement this vision, we've asked ourselves, what if we grounded people in country, shared the knowledge embedded in place, and supported Indigenous Australian culture? What if we created a responsive physical environment, expanded community integration, and shared campus engagement? QUT has decided the time is now to embed place, genuine engagement, and shared design in the delivery of our campuses.
Hi, my name's Bo Dela Cruz. I'm an ambassador for Deadly Choices. I'm a descendant of the Gudula people and also the Arab people in Darnley Island in the Torres Strait. If you have a history of cancer and especially breast cancer in your family, I know for me, I went and had my breast screened, and look, my experience was amazing. Obviously, you know, I've had family that have had breast cancer and checkups before in the past, so I sort of had that information already. But I suppose for me, it was more about my children, you know, and more about my family, and you know, if there was something there that I really needed to get on top of it quick before it got any worse. So, you know, that early detection was always in the forefront of my head, and the process was really good. The lady made me feel really, really comfortable, and there is no shame factor. That they see these women every single day, 8 hours a day, they're doing these screenings. So yeah, please make sure if you do feel as though you need to go in or just getting your regular checkup, don't be ashamed, just go and do it. Stay healthy and strong for your mob. Make an appointment today for your breast screen at any Breast Screen Queensland service. For more information, call 132050 or visit breastscreen.qld.gov.au.
Welcome back. We're about to get the second half underway, and joining us in commentary as we look at the scoreboard, it's 26-4. The Sunshine Coast Bunyas over East Coast Sharks, who've been very brave. They're 2 players down. They've scratched together their team and doing their best under trying circumstances. Joining us in commentary, Brenton Bowen and Casey Badger, referee extraordinaire. And Casey, you provided us with some wonderful insights into refereeing. And I know Gavin's around as well, and he's got to follow you up in a game as well in the commentary, and you're doing very well. And we're going to put up scorecards for you and him.
See who wins.
And you're in front at this stage. That's a good thing.
I'd be struggling if I was behind at this stage.
Bunyas have been right in front of us. They're ready to go for the second half. And looking forward to this contest as we progress into the senior part of the carnival. We had the juniors on for the first 3 days and saw some wonderful exhibitions of rugby league. And as a referee, do you get time to appreciate a really good try or a really skillful piece of play?
Oh, absolutely. I'm well known within our squad of making noises when I officiate, doing lots of ooh, ahs, and lots of sort of noises.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And wows. So lots of times I need to hold myself back. But I mean, You'd be silly if you didn't appreciate it, really. You've got the best seat in the house.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Like, you've got the best seat in the house, literally.
Yeah, as a rugby league fan, like first and foremost, I'm just a massive rugby league fan. Before I was ever a player, before I was ever worked in the game, before I ever refereed.
Is the family involved? Does it come from a family background? No?
No.
Straight up yourself?
Yeah. My brother played for a couple of years as a kid as well, but nothing major. I just started playing when I was 4 years old and absolutely fell in love with it and just wanted to spend my life around the game. So yeah, when you're on the field and you see, a great cutout pass, a good hit, a great kick, some sort of spectacular try, and sometimes, especially when you're touch judging, sometimes it happens right near a great try near a corner post. Things wingers can do these days. So you're front and centre for it, and take it in and enjoy it while you can.
You're talking about the referees having the best seat in the house. Well, our house is not too bad up here, is it, in the commentary
absolutely.
spot? We've got a monitor to watch the replays. We're right on the centre field and watching some wonderful rugby league skills.
And it's nowhere near as physically difficult doing this. Probably less people yelling at us as well.
Have you ever got to a game where you think, gee, I wish I wasn't here? Maybe it's hail and rain and Armageddon and conditions are terrible, and you think, I could easily just have stayed in my hotel room or at home.
That's the hardest part of coming up through the ranks. I touched on earlier in commentary where you do 3 days in a row of multiple games on a day, and you'd be tired and sore, and you'd have people in the crowd yelling at you, and it'd be crappy weather. And it used to really annoy me when I'd be missing like a Friday night footy game because I was out at an A-grade match and just be copping it from the crowd in crappy weather. And they're the hardest parts of your career to get through. When you get to NRL, you don't really have those games. I talk about there was one where I was in one NRL game, I remember at the SFS, where I was injured, and it was the only time in my NRL career that I remember thinking I don't want to be on the field, because it was just I was worried about making an incorrect decision because I was physically injured, and I didn't want to not only hurt my career but hurt the careers of the other referees on the field because of a mistake I made.
That one crapped up high. Referee hasn't said anything.
Might be playing some advantage here. He did prop a bit. He might play on now. He might go back for it now that they've dropped the ball. Let's see what happens.
Play on. And tell me, can you have a team? Do you support a team in the NRL?
No, once you're refereeing at this level, you obviously can't support any team. But obviously, as I spoke about, rugby league fan first and foremost. So every referee obviously enjoyed rugby league before they refereed. So everyone had a team that they supported. Once you get to the elite level, you fall off that. And as I spoke about earlier as well, it's too hard. On the field, thinking about making decisions. You're not worried about which team's got the ball or anything like that.
And what's your process for a player that's got a bit hot under the collar, that's borderline, maybe not send-off, maybe 10 minutes in the bin or something like that? What's your process to calm them down?
Yeah, so one of the big things we talk about in refereeing is creating time and space. So the more time you can create for yourself, and you can create time by giving yourself space from the player or players, it gives you just that, it could only be 2 or 3 seconds to collect your thoughts, have a big deep breath, think about what you're going to say before you say it. And it's one of the best techniques that you can use for dealing with players. And then the next part is something which is really difficult to teach. It's more comes from experience and how many times you've been in certain situations.
Here's a good run, twist in the tackle, and if she can get the ball down, but they come in numbers and hold her up.
She stripped the ball out there.
I think she should be held and play the ball. The referee's gone back to the mark and said, play the ball.
Bit of practical refereeing there.
Again, they're having a dig here. As we've said, they're down by 2 players, and this girl's been down a couple of times, been on the brunt of a couple of heavy tackles, the 18, Melora Mosby.
Hope she hasn't hit her head on the ground or something here. Let's see.
And
the second thing is just having the ability to build player rapport. So the greater relationships you can develop with players, and it's a skill set. You can't just go out there and try and talk to everyone and be mates with everyone, because that's not always what it's about. But if you can create rapport with players, it allows you to have a better dialogue with them throughout the game.
And are you not afraid to tell a player to get back into position, particularly if they're coming up trying to buy a bit of time or questioning a decision? You just, no, come on.
Yeah, again, it's a skill set that you have to develop over time, because if you just continually brush a player and
that'll frustrate them.
then it'll frustrate them, and then that can cause them to come out more. So it's a real fine line, and sometimes it's a balance between your personality and the different personalities of the players. And the way I deal with one player might be different to the way I deal with a different player on the same team, just because they've got different personalities, and how we would communicate is different how I would communicate with their teammate.
Yep.
So it's all very subtle, and you've got to sort of work it out as you go.
Because I think as a player, when I sort of started playing, talking about building rapport with the players, I used to love it when they call you by their first name. Like, because I was like, I was sort of, 2 or 3 games into NRL career, and you got guys like Tim Mander. You
had Steve Clark, Tim Mander, Paul Simpkins, all those blokes.
All those, like, man, that's crazy.
He knows who I am. And I mean, that's a big talking point. There was actually, I saw something, I think it might have been on Twitter the other day, talking about it. I think it was Phil Gould might have been speaking about it. And a lot of people think that we should go back to calling players by numbers. Not names. And I understand that side of the debate. My preference is to stay with names, because I think it does show respect. I think both ways. People say that calling players by the number creates more respect for the referee, and it's sir and ma'am and that sort of stuff. But I don't think that's necessarily respect.
No.
That's what you might do as an older person to a younger person, a teacher to a student or something like that. But that's not the relationship I think that a referee should have with players on the field. Also, there's a lot of players who don't know their name as well. Don't know their number, sorry. Don't know what number they're wearing.
Yeah, that's right.
They react a lot easier to their names. I understand the debate. My preference is to stick with names. I think you build a healthier rapport.
My preference as well.
It's good to hear that from a player. I'm sure there'd be a mixed. I don't know if there'd be a mixed opinion amongst the playing group at the moment, but.
I think it develops a good two-way street too for engagement. It says I'm open. I know who you are. You know who I am. And let's work together.
And there's mutual respect that way. So the respect doesn't have to be calling someone sir or ma'am. No. Respect comes in many different ways. And to me, calling each other by our names, knowing who everyone is, and having that healthy dialogue, to me, that's a good sign of respect.
And let's be honest, the great Australian attribute, sarcasm, even if they called you sir or ma'am, it doesn't necessarily engender any respect.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Unfortunately, this player injury is taking quite some time, and of course we've mentioned it on a few occasions that player welfare is paramount. We'll take no chances. The Medico staff are out there and assessing what's going on. Referees taking an advantage to hydrate. Clearly got a big day ahead.
Yep, they've all got a bunch of games, not just today, but the next few days, and there's a few of them who have also been here for the first 2 days. So there's a few who are going into their 3rd days. There's some who are at the start of their
stint.
Start of their stint. Yep. So everyone's got to look after themselves.
Yeah, I think the another thing is it's a bit warmer today as well compared to the.
Definitely, the last 2 days with that wind, particularly the temperatures have been quite low, and today quite hot.
Yeah, very different. It's the thing for the game. I'm a big believer in, for the game to be great, you need great officials. So if we want the players here this carnival to be playing good football, producing that good product, we need the referees to be at their best. So and making sure we look after them as well.
And let's give them a wrap. They've done a great job, Brent. You've called a number of games. I've called a number of games, and I cannot complain about lack of standard or rapport, and I've not seen players blow up. There's been the occasional someone gets a bit hot under the collar or an accidental high shot. We've had the occasional bit, but there's been a lot of respect. And a lot of discipline as the ball from the next field comes in and just about wipes out our monitor. Someone get that player's number, please.
Put him on report.
So it's been great all round, has it not?
No, it has been, yeah. And, we always say there's maybe 1 or 2 things that could have gone either way.
Yep.
That's the nature of the game.
That's right. And then at the end of the day, we always say, the referee's always right.
I think that's taking that taking a balanced approach to it, in knowing that, you know what, within a game, no one's perfect, and you know there might be one or two things within the game that you go should have gone this way or that way.
Yep.
And exactly the same with the players. You know, a drop ball, a missed tackle, the wrong option, a player throwing a pass instead of taking a kick, or throwing passing too early instead of taking it to the line. You know, all sorts of things like that. It's no different for referees, but on the whole, I agree. From what I've seen, it's been a pretty decent standard.
Unfortunately, this looks like a pretty serious injury at this point. Medicos are here. I think we're waiting for the Medicab to arrive.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. These things, though, happen in carnivals, and you know, as we've said a number of times, we've got to ensure the safety of the players and the welfare of the players, and if that means the game has to stop and we don't get any more play, so be it. It's about the player that needs that time and treatment at the time.
That's right.
In case, Casey, again, put your NRL referee and do we call you touch sideline official?
Yeah.
Sideline
Just
official?
Yeah, we usually say referees, yeah.
How exciting is it when you get to this stage? Now we're down to 4 teams and we're down to 2 prelim finals at Suncorp Stadium Friday and Saturday, and then a grand final in Brisbane. But we are at the pointy end of what has, begins late in 2020, and then we have a pre-season, and then we have, 20-odd rounds, and here we are with, potentially 3 games left.
Yeah, it's the best time of year. For referees, we're no different to players, to the clubs, where, you start the year knowing, having goals and knowing you want to be there at the pointy end of the season. And for referees, there's not there's not many of us that get to do it. At this stage of the year, you've got 2 referees, because there's only the 2 games, and 4 touch judges. So you need to be right at the top to be still running around at this time of year. And there's excitement there in knowing that it's sudden death football. So there's a whole level of pressure that comes with that. But that adds to the excitement of what you're doing as well. If you're able, as an official, if you're able to handle that pressure, perform under that pressure, it's the same as a player. If you're able to perform under pressure, that's sort of the reason why you're still around at that, at that time of year, and it's a reward for what you consistently did over the first 25 weeks of the competition.
Yeah. And I'm sure you'd echo those sentiments as a player, Brenton, that, it's the pointy end, it's the exciting end. And as an old commentator and a guy who played for the Cannon Hill Stars without much ability, I've got to say, even if your favourite team as a supporter of this great game of ours is not in the finals, there's still a sense of excitement, because there is a team that ultimately will be holding up a trophy and will be celebrating. May not be your team, but it's still the pinnacle of what has been a very long season for one of the teams.
Yeah, and that's you start that conversations in the preseason, like the goal is to get into 8 or in the top 4.
Yep.
If you don't get into 8, or and you just sort of work your way up. Just take it. The old sort of cliche that the players say, take it one game at a time. But yeah, like you said, it's the pointy end of the season, and it doesn't matter which team you support. If your team's out of the running, then at the end of the day, it's rugby league, and everyone loves the rugby league.
And speaking of teams out of the running, referees and officials who are out of the running, as you said, you're down to a couple of referees, and then we've got a grand final coming up. Are you supportive of your fellow teammates, or are you sitting there in a bit of jealousy going, I wish I was there?
Oh, look, first and foremost, you are excited for your teammates, but you'd be lying if you're saying that you don't want to be there.
Yep.
Of course, of course, you want to be there.
So there's a modicum of jealousy.
Absolutely, there is. Absolutely, you'd be absolutely lying if you didn't say that there's no jealousy around wanting to be there.
Yep.
Of course,
fair enough.
I bowed out a week ago. Of course, I want to be there this weekend.
Yeah.
But it's the nature of refereeing is really really hard to describe, because we're like a team for the majority of the year. Right, so we all need to be strong and support each other to get through week in week, 8 games a week for the 25 rounds. But then ultimately, you're also versing everyone else as well. You're also battling out for one spot or two spots on the touchline. So it's a strange dynamic. But you know, you're still happy for your mates. Like, there's one of the guys running around the touchline this weekend, John Stone, who it's his first time being into weeks 2 and 3 of the semi-finals, and I'm just absolutely stoked for him that he got that opportunity, because I thought he'd he'd had a really good season and absolutely deserved it. So I'm really happy to see him run around. You know, so there's both sides to it.
And from a player point of view, you'd be dirty, wouldn't you? You'd be dirty, you're not there.
Yeah, that's, well, you know, again, like you always, because you're a team and you want your team to go well. Because I went through that same experience in 2005. The Cowboys played the Tigers, and you know, I did everything with the team leading up to the game. You know, travelled down with the team, captains run the grand final breakfast, did the warm up, and everything but run on the field.
That's probably what we could compare it to, is playing a bunch of games, the majority of the games of the season for the team, and then not being there in the 17.
Yeah, but at the same time, you want to wish your team.
Oh, you're excited
well.
for your team.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
And you still want them to win, so you're still on grand final day, whoever the 3 are on the field from the referees, I want them to go out and absolutely kill it and have a blinder and referee really well.
And you don't want them to be the headline.
No.
As we don't in the game. You want them to not be seen and officiate without too many dramas.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, the injured player, Melora Mosby, taken from the field. She'll receive medical treatment, and the game to resume after a lengthy break. And unfortunately, that means one less player for the East Coast Sharks, who were started the game with only 11, and they'll finish it with 10, but they've not thrown in the towel, and I say kudos to them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just good to see that they're still enthusiastic to keep going, see if they can get over the line again.
Yeah, I think at the moment they've only got 9 on the field now.
Wow. Comes out wide, they throw the ball, they keep it alive. This young lady is a very good player, and just numbers, they get 2 and 3 in the tackle, and the Bunyas make sure she doesn't progress any further. Briley Reid, try scorer for the Sharks. And that tackle crept up, but the referee said no, play on. And Sunshine Coast Bunyas now working the ball upfield. We're in the closing stages of this match. I don't think she was expecting it then. No. She was having a little breather. She's been the star of this show so far. Tanya Gillen, couple of tries, 3 conversions. Here's a good run, straight through the middle, looking for support, getting it to a faster teammate, but she can't hang on. And again, it's Briley Reid with the tackle, forcing an error. And we'll have a scrum.
I love seeing the halfbacks take on the line. Yeah, but I think at that instance she should have held on to the ball. But
just taking the tackle.
Yeah, take the tackle, but she just try to chance her arm. But
well, as soon as she ran across field a bit and then just straightens up, takes the line, and she made that half break.
Yeah.
Well, I'll pose another refereeing question to you while I can, Case, and. The obstruction rule and the greyness in the obstruction rule. You know, 1 minute it's interpreted one way and the next minute it's interpreted the other way. If we could get that right, we'd be happy as supporters of the greatest game of all. It's a hard one, and I'm not putting you on the spot, but it is a hard one.
It's fine. You wouldn't be the first person to ask me these questions, mate. Look, with the obstruction rule, there are actually, the way the rule's actually written is that there's a part to the rule that can be grey and allows for some interpretation, and then there's a part to the rule which is black and white. And that's agreed. One thing that's also misunderstood in the game is that referees make the rules. Referees don't make the rules. We get
just
told,
officiate
we get told what the rules are, and sometimes what we get told 1 week can change the next week because from the higher up in the game tell us this is what the rule now is. But mostly it comes through the competitions committee, and the coaches all have a say in this. So the part of the obstruction rule which talks about where the ball is caught, you know, beyond the inside shoulder of the lead run and all that sort of stuff. every NRL coach has agreed that that's what they want it. That's what they want it to be. They want that to be black and white.
Right. So you cannot interpret that one way or another.
No.
That's
It's either it's caught on the
yes
inside or it's
no.
not. So
Yep.
there are times you watch it and you go, dead set, that had no impact on
Yeah.
that.
That's what I can't get.
That's a rugby league try. We can't do that because that's just
what
what
the rule is.
Yeah.
And that's what they've all agreed upon.
Fair enough.
Then there's other aspects to the rule, like around what level of contact was
Yes.
made and stuff like
Yep.
that, where we can have some
good,
judgment on the impact on the defensive line. So, yeah, I might have made some contact with you and we acknowledge that there was contact,
Yep.
but the try was scored out wide, so we're going to play on.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you've
Yep.
taken that hole, or the contact might have been minimal, but it then adjusted the outside defensive player to bite in.
Yep.
So that's why. So yes, you scored out wide, but there was impact because a wider defender had to bite in because there was some impact.
Fair enough. Yep.
So there's all these sorts
Yep.
of things that when people talk about consistency in refereeing, the great thing about our game is that it is so great that no one. While there might be some incidents that are similar, there's rarely an incident that is identical, which makes it hard to officiate in the exact same way. But I can understand people's frustration when sometimes week by week it can appear like something was the same.
Yeah.
But when we look at it as a squad, it's very rare that we rule on things in a completely different way in those situations.
Well explained, because it is one of those areas that quite often frustrates fans and players and officials, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, there was a year, it would have been maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Daniel Anderson was in charge of the NRL referees at the time, where obstructions were completely black and white.
Yep.
So any sort of contact from a lead runner, where the ball was caught, all these sort of... Oh, she's bent over awkwardly there. Let's hope she can get up. I hope she's not injured.
That would hurt.
Never good to see that.
No.
Where the NRL referees did rule on obstructions as completely black and white, which creates consistency because it just either is or it isn't.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the game.
Yeah.
It's not the game we all know and the game we all love.
Again, we're looking at the player and she gets up ginger, a bit of an ankle injury and a shake of hands. See, great spirit. Great spirit between the players. I think the referee's going to award a penalty. It was high, yep.
Oh, she doesn't know she's got a penalty here.
She's got a penalty, you can take a tap. Oh, dear me.
They must be fatigued. She's a bit sore as well.
Yeah. Yeah, good on the East Coast Sharks. They've struggled with numbers. Only started with 11 and be lucky to finish with 9 with a couple of injuries, and this young lass is certainly struggling with a leg injury, and she's soldiering on bravely, which is exactly what the coach said to me in the pre-match. We'll give it our best despite the indifference in numbers. Oh, bad luck. Bad luck.
The referee will bring it out here, no advantage.
Well, as we wind down the clock in this match, Casey Badger, thank you for joining us. Stick around till full time, but I just want to say thanks very much. Give us an insight into refereeing, Brenton. I mean, as a player, it's always nice to, hear what makes the referees tick, because sometimes you guys cop a fair pasting.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. No, thank you for having me. It's been very enjoyable.
It's been good. It's been great. Interesting perspective. And we wish the people officiating over the next 2 weekends in the greatest game of all, the NRL, because I know a lot of the local competitions are done and dusted for the year, but we've got 3 wonderful matches to go in the NRL, and we hope that the referees have a great success and the players enjoy, sensational free matches. Yeah. We don't want the headlines to be all about the referee. That brings us to full time.